Hello and welcome back to Hotties for Thought. If you're here on week 3, you are blessed and you're an amazing person, and I really hope you get everything that you want in life because you're so awesome. To be honest, I do appreciate any kind of support that I get in this endeavor. So I thank you wholeheartedly for sticking by me as I basically learn from scratch how to do everything. So you're awesome for that. Thank you. And honestly, no notes today. I'm kind of raw dogging it because I think that is a lot more fresh and a lot more fun. I feel like that kind of stream of consciousness, kind of conversational style, I think I am really good at. I'm not really good at like sticking to certain topics very well, I have now realized. So I really hope you appreciate the um, raw dog of it all. I actually did have very specific topics I did want to talk about today, like specific points I want to hit. But before I go to my tangents, two things. First, I have downgraded my mic, as you can see. So if the mic quality is not that great, honestly, I did some tests and it wasn't horrible, but like I also had a video component, like I can, you know. So I thought maybe that was better, but I just know that if this is a podcast, a lot of it's going to be just audio only. A lot of people listening is going to only listen to the audio. So with that, I am so sorry if the audio quality doesn't really match up as well as the first two episodes. Um yeah, I am getting a new mic really soon, and hopefully that would be so much better. So I'm figuring that out. But in this process, this transitional process, there is this. So hopefully that is okay for this week's episode. Hopefully I won't stretch it too long so you don't have to suffer through this poor audio quality but great dialogue that we're having here today. But second thing is again the shout outs. I have to get the shout outs because I think it's important to stay grateful, but also I seriously feel like I don't know, I have a lot of support in my life. Um, and I'm really thankful for that. And I feel like, like every other person, when you get stuck in your own head or you self isolate for like weeks at a time, you kind of forget that there are people out there to support you. And I think this might go for you too, because I'm sure everyone relates to basically feeling like they're alone in this world, whenever, especially when it is related to, their project that they want to do, or maybe like, I don't know, some a different career path they want to go on, and it's the road less traveled. I think community is so important. So like honestly, the people who support me, even if it's silent, even if it's just like liking, you know the posts I put about this specific um episode, liking the post, liking what I say, or just even like clicking on the title, it really does like mean a lot to me. Um, and yeah, like, thank you. Honestly, thank you. Like, you do not have to do that. You do not have to sit here and use your valuable time to listen to me yap in the closet. But you do, and that to me is it means everything. Like honestly, it does, because it's kind of like, I don't know, like what I could only really imagine it's really happening, and it's like a weird thing to have the reality, or to imagine that reality where like there is this impact, and then there is people watching something that are from my idea, but also, I don't know, like sparking an idea or thoughts in your head that is influencing the way that you move in life. Like that to me is such an incredible kind of way of being, and it happens all the time, but to for me to be a part of that in a more bigger scale, like I'm just really grateful. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. We have to give thanks. We have to end Black History Month right by giving thanks. See what I did there? Do you see what I did there? Yeah. I'm gonna take my hit. I'm using a new water bottle today. The Owala classy, keeping it classy. Yeah, happy end of Black History Month. That, of course, inevitably went by really fast. So a lot of people who don't know, I am indeed half black, half Africana, as they say, and it's actually pretty interesting because honestly, I think seeing. I don't want to talk about this the whole episode. There's actually other things I really want to talk about, but a little share to end Black History Month here. It's very interesting seeing the kind of like evolution of how like how the evolution of Black History Month has been going through like the years, like compared to like the 2000s, early 2000s till now. It's kind of crazy. And it's funny, you know what? I'm not going to get into this. We're not going to get political today because I I really want to. But um it's interesting to see how the spirit of that is very affected by certain businesses and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Because honestly, I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, happy Black History Month. Your tail end of it, of course. To my Black brothers and sisters, it is Black History Month every month. So that is that. But I will say that no. But yeah. Um anyways, today there's so many things that I really want to talk about because there's just so many things that are on my mind this week that I was just kind of like losing it. I was really losing it. I was losing hope in what I was doing. I was losing hope because other things in my life um that was like just happening and it sucked a lot. Um and like even in like last week's episode, I was in such a completely different headspace. I was in such a different kind of energy because it was bad. It was bad. It was really bad. And maybe one day, if I get really comfortable doing this and it helps somebody, I might talk about it. But oh my God, it was so bad. It was actually really bad. And now, kind of being able to reflect on that, I'm like, I'm so glad that happened because honestly, one, I dodged a major freaking bullet. I dodged a major freaking bullet. Oh my gosh, man. People are weird. People are weird in this world. Like, man, reality. This is a reality check in adulthood. People are really weird. And like, you don't even know that they're weird. They're like covert weird. And you don't even know that they're weird until having an extended interaction with them. It's like the grocery store clerk and you talk to them and you see them every Sunday and you're like, "Oh, like this is the clerk, like he the homie, he cool." But it's like you never had an extended conversation an extended conversation with him. So you catch him before a shift and you're like, "Oh, hey, what's good?" And you're like, "Oh, you're going to work?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just beat my wife and kids." And you're like, "Whoa," you know what I mean? And like it's just people are weird. People really are truly weird. Like, oh my God, like they are weird. And it's like, okay, because they're able to function as an adult and get their job done and other things. So it's like the right people don't complain, but in reality they're like kind of, what is that word, not inadequate but like incompetent at like keeping, ooh, that's like keeping good people around. So anyway, tea. But there's 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 tea, there's tea, there's tea, there's tea lingering out in the fields. Anyways, but today I really want to talk about two things, which mostly is probably gonna complete the entirety of this episode, but one of which is growing up on the internet, and two is astrology. And this might kind of segue into next week's episode because I do want to talk more about like spirituality, or more in terms of like just like ooh woo woo, like that thing. Because I'm very curious about it, and I've done extensive research on it because it's something that is just so interesting to me, and that whole side of it. But I think to kind of, yeah, segue into that kind of conversation is that like I think like as basically like Gen Z, which, right, because I was born in 2000, and that in its own way is like controversial apparently, but I feel pretty Gen Z. And that is to say, like, I mean, I grew up basically on the internet, and I grew up watching millennials, right? All the YouTubers I watched were millennials. Like my humor was from the millennial. I watched BuzzFeed, you know? So it's kind of like I was in that stage of life where I was born in this part of the generation, but I was still like looking to the previous generation as like role models. And because of that, like I guess there is like some millennial qualities to me, but like I think that's kind of like the way of it. Like I've grew up watching movies and YouTube, and like that's kind of, well, what like surrounded me, and I didn't really clock that it was, there's a generational gap up until I was in like I was like a teenager, and I was kind of like, I don't relate to a lot of things that I used to watch anymore. But it wasn't that I didn't relate to it. It was more the fact that like I couldn't replicate the reality of those people that I watched or was connected to, you know, like YouTubers and, you know, characters, TV show, movie characters, right? Because it's like these people were written for a certain demographic in mind, and I wasn't a part of that demographic, but I desperately wanted to be, you know, like New Girl. I actually I didn't watch enough of New Girl to really be I love New Girl, but I did. I love the concept. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's like so fresh. Like a girl living with a bunch of guys, and she's like doing her own thing, and she's like going out on dates, and like this is the adulthood I was promised." Like I looked at that and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. Like she's so cool. Like I want to do that." And then like no, because it's like when you see these things too, like half these people, these TV show characters, they don't have anxiety, they don't have any kind of like weird quirk, they're just like people that interact with other people, like, and it's just that, like, you know, there's just, it's like, I wish I can articulate it better, but I feel like now there's so much of like internal bullshit that happens when it comes to like interacting with others, that like I had to learn how to get out of, that I don't feel like I was, that a lot of things that I watched and I seen face that kind of reality, you know. I'm trying to think of another show too that was just kind of like even like watching Glee, like the freaking cheerleaders, they were just overtly mean, which is not something that is relatable as I was growing up anyways. So, but yeah, like a lot of times I felt really bad about myself because I felt like, oh my god, like I don't relate to a lot of these show characters. I must be weird. There's something wrong with me. Um so growing up on the internet, like I think I got my first iPod Touch when I was like 12 or 13. I think I was 12 maybe. I think I was 12. Yeah, I was 12 when I got my first iPod, And I remember I was on that shit every day. Like, I was watching YouTube every day. Like, I'll come home from school, I watch YouTube until the lights go off. Like, I don't know how my eyesight maintained that. I literally just started wearing glasses this year or last year as a 23-year-old when I was on YouTube since I was 12 every night watching that in the dark. Like that was crazy every single day without fail. I would be on YouTube watching it like every day. It was like my little afternoon tea. Like I would look up and I'll be like, dang, it's dark already. Like I would be doing that all the time. And yeah, I think it was 12 because it's when I started middle school. And I think middle school was probably one of like the darkest times of my life. In the way that kids, like a darkest way time of my life, like as a kid, like I mean, it wasn't anything like crazy. I was like slightly seasoned bullied, it was enough. It was enough to kind of, it's enough to like give me character, but it wasn't like crazy. It was just kind of like a lightly seasoned kind. Everybody in middle school is self-absorbed and including me. So it's like it's like everyone is pretty weird to each other. I'm sure there was people I was kind of not nice to then. There was friends I was not nice to then because I was just already so insecure. So yeah, but because I was so lonely and made fun of a lot of times, I kind of escaped to watching Smosh. That's like probably like one of the first YouTube channels that I always watch. I would always watch Smosh. Um, oh my gosh, what is it? What is the ones that how many fools can I kill today? It's too many to count, don't get in my way. I killed a mofo with the fluff my dog. I think that's Smosh. I'm a hot cock and then I'm a not in here to the champ in the hair. I think that's Smosh, yeah. The music videos, oh my god. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to actually know. I think the first thing, okay. I'm like going around, but before this is when I got an iPod Touch. When I first got it. This is a little bit before I first got it. I would always hang out with this one friend. If she's watching this, oh my god, I don't know if she's watching this, but I don't know if I should name her, but I would always go over her house like all the time. Um when I was in middle school, I would go to her house a lot. And she's like on the internet. She had her own laptop. I did not. So she actually introduced me to Smosh and we watched like Link, The Legend of Zelda, L to the I to the N, The Legend of Zelda, that music video, that like parody music video, that one music video that changed my life because I watched that with her. And after that, I was like, what is this golden? I don't even know what it was about it. I think it was just like I didn't even watch The Legend of Zelda either. Like I don't know what it was about it. I was maybe it was the song or the music that was like this freaking hits right now. Like this is so funny and this is so good. And I would rewatch that a lot of like all over again. So yeah, I'll come back home and I'll get my iPod Touch and I'll just rewatch the same videos. And then I saw they made other videos. And that's basically like how my YouTube addiction started. And it's honestly the YouTube addiction is pretty bad. I think I had a pretty bad YouTube addiction for like 10 years. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like it was my routine almost like every day for years to watch YouTube videos. Like that's how I dissociated from my reality. And if I didn't have the internet or I didn't have a phone, I cannot have imagined. Actually, I probably would have just watched movies all the time. I'm not gonna lie. Like that. That's kind of what I did pre YouTube. I would just watch movies or I would play like games, like online games, like Build a Bear. If you remember that Build a Bear workshop, oh my gosh, that that oh, I'm getting a hit of nostalgia right now. Build a Bear, the Build a Bearville, please. Oh my please, if anybody really Build-a-bearville, literally, like, if anybody remembers that, I'm gonna lose my mind. That was, I was, okay. Little backstory. So, I used to grow up in the Bronx. The first basically 10 years of my life, I lived in the Bronx. Yeah, I was in Japan, Okinawa for like 1 to 4, and then from 4 to 10, I was in the Bronx. And so, while I was there, I used to, my mom was working and she was working, so I practically had one friend, and we would hop on the computer every night to play Build-a-bearville. So your girl was not out in these streets because I was like 9 years old, 8 years old. I was just like, I was an awkward little loner at school. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to. I didn't like feel comfortable talking to a lot of people. So I just walked my ass home, play Build-a-bearville, and it was the best. Or actually, no, I walked myself home, or I'll walk with my friend, and then she's like, "Oh, I'll see you tonight." I'm like, "Okay, for sure." And then it was almost every day, same time. It was like 5 p.m. I finished my dinner. I'm getting my laptop. My mom goes to work, and I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to my friend, and we're playing Build-A-Bears together, and we would be there for hours, hours playing Build-A-Bear, all the little mini games, getting all the outfits. Oh, customizing yourself, customizing your bear. Build a bear workshop. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna lose my mind. That was the shit. That was the shit. It was amazing. Um Honestly, I miss it so much. Even if I was here still now, I would be on that. I was so beyond that. But unfortunately, Build a Bearville did cancel. I don't know how the Build a Bear workshop company is doing, unfortunately, after that. I think they tried to get the site back up again, but it just didn't work out because they just didn't have enough people, which really sucked. But it was an amazing game. There was like, and to a lot of people it's like, oh well, yes it was, yes it was. And there's like so many, because okay, the whole premise is that like you moved to somewhere called Build-A-Bearville, and it's like a whole urban city, with Build-A-Bears. And so you would be a human character that you could do it with or without the bear. But if you do have the bear, you have a lot of perks. You get to, it's like a member kind of thing. You get to go to certain locations, and then you get like to get like certain outfits. And so a lot of people, you most of the time you would get a bear to come in, and then you put when you get your bear has a birth certificate, and then the birth certificate bear, like you put in the information for the birth certificate bear, and then that's how the game registers the bear. But yeah, it was really really cool. There were celebrities that came to Build-A-Bearville. So and then the person, there's like a mascot, I don't know what's her name. Her name is like Chloe Price or something. Yeah, very very, it was a very 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 fun experience, honestly. Build-A-Bearville over Club Penguin. There, I said it. Club Penguin. I didn't play on Club Penguin much because I just would get so bored, and like those outfits on the penguins, they were ugly. They were ugly. They were ugly, honestly. Like, I don't know. I just could not be interested in playing Club Penguin much because there was not to do. Except like when they put the karate dojo thing in, that was probably the best thing. I really like had a lot of fun with that, the karate dojo. But outside of that, it was like Build-A-Bear, sorry, Club Penguin, not really it for me. Um, but outside of Build-A-Bearville, which is what I played, there was like another one I played. I'm trying to remember. Does anyone remember Toontown? Because Toontown, like there was like they showed these commercials on like Disney for this online game, which was like Toontown, and you basically throw pie at each other. It's very stupid. It was a very stupid game, and I know it took a lot of like data, or a lot of like storage on your computer. So I didn't do Toontown. I did like oh my gosh, Movie Star Planet. Movie Star Planet. I just remembered it. That was wild. I had my first heartbreak on Movie Star Planet. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I know. I remember I went to this like random room with a bunch of people, and I remember playing because after I watched Frozen, I was obsessed with Frozen. Bro, like I was obsessed with Frozen. I don't know where how this is going. I'm just kind of exposing myself, but no, I was obsessed with Frozen. I watched that movie. I made I was 13 and I made my mom and my stepdad watch it with me over like I kid you not, I think we went to the theater about like 8 times. Eight, nine, maybe even 10 times. We watched it that many times in theaters because I loved that movie so much. I love that movie so much. You don't even understand. I can't even tell you why. I couldn't tell you why, but I love those movies. When I say, oh my gosh, like those two white princesses had a chokehold on me. You don't know how badly I love that movie. When we actually went to Disney World, I was 13, mind you again, and I was not like a 13 skinny little 13-year-old. For some reason, what am I saying for some reason? I know why. Literally I developed quickly. So like when I was about I got my period when I was like what 12. So 13 like the body set in. I can even show a picture. I don't even. I have a picture though. The body set in. So I had the body yaddy. I was a 13-year-old. I was a fully developed 13-year-old girl, and um, I loved Frozen. That when we were there, it was like really crowded, and they just opened like Arendelle up or like the meet and greet for Anna and Elsa in the in like what is it Norway in like my gosh, I'm trying to remember, it's not Epcot, but there's this like part of the park where you visit there's like different countries, and it's like it was just Japan, France, Norway, and like something else. Like yeah, it was like four countries, and so I went to Norway, of course, and um, the meet and greet for Anna and Elsa was like over 3 hours long. It was over 3 hours long, and I remember my family's like, I don't really want to do it, but I was like, no, no. And so I ended up, as they went and enjoyed the park, I waited in line for 3 hours just to meet Anna and Elsa. if if anybody if anybody was losing aura, that would be me. That would be me. I freaking love that movie. And you know what? I still do. I said it there. I said it. I love the movie. I love it. The music is great. Really cool plot. Anyways, moving on from that. But yeah, movie star oh my gosh. Yeah. Um back to um having my first heartbreak on Movie Star Planet. Um, no, I think I like met a girl too through that website, and like I remember her character, she was like white, and she was like, oh, and this is when cake was a thing. And I remember she was like, oh, we exchanged cakes and stuff, and we sent each other pictures. I sent her a picture. I was in the bathroom, and I was just like this, like I was like, and like I had really long hair, and so it was kind of more like a wavy pattern at that time for some reason. And she was like, oh, like I remember she sent me a picture, and she was black, and I was like, oh, like that doesn't look like her character, but I cool. And she was like, oh, like you're like Asian, and I was like, what? And I don't know why I didn't clock it back then. I don't know, because like for some reason I didn't really think of myself as Asian. I have a whole thing about this, a whole complex about this, but like I didn't think I looked that Asian. Like I was like, I thought I looked pretty biracial, because in my head I was like, oh well, like I'm not, like I've seen like Asian people, I don't look like that. So I was like, in my head I was like, oh, like I was really confused, because I was like, how does she know that? Like, can't she see my skin color? Can she see my hair texture? Like I was like, why did I was really offended. Girl, I was so offended. I was over here like, she thinks I'm Asian? Like, but I don't look like these Asian mofos. Like I was like that. I was so offended. I was actually legitimately so offended. I was quaking. It was crazy. And it's like, yeah, like I really didn't like clock it until I looked at the picture and I'm like, and I looked at the picture and I compared it to her picture and I was like, oh, well, compared to her, of course I look Asian because I mean, she's not. I digress. But no, like in that movie Star Planet, you know, they made the guys look pretty hot compared to like other I'm trying to think of another like what is that called? Like open world game, open world chat game. I don't know, cuz there was like some chats. Oh my gosh. Pixie Hollow. There was an online there was, oh my gosh, Pixie Hollow was another thing. It was also an online like game thing, kind of like Build-a-bearville, but like you get to, you know, make your own fairy. Honestly, that was pretty mid. It was a pretty mid. It was a really cool premise because it's like you get to choose like what you look like, but it was like, you know, like I don't know, it was okay. It was like a 9 out of 10. There wasn't much to do. Like you just kind of go to different places and then you chat, and then other than that, like there's not really much you really could have done in that game. And I think that's kind of like what it is about it. I think that's why a lot of these games probably like ended up like not surviving for like the recent years because there's not much to do in it, right? It's just kind of like it's like an online chat room but with characters. Kind of like VR chat, honestly, now I think about it, kind of before it was a thing. But here's the thing about it. These things like were here before like Instagram and all the social media stuff. So I think it was just like I know that's where you got to talk and communicate, and honestly, like that to me was the dream. Like I loved going into these websites as like a persona of something. I was almost the same thing. I was this white girl named Samantha Montgomery. That was like my original character. Like I so badly wanted to be white. This is actually like low key like crazy thing to say because I know this is crazy, but oh my gosh, you don't know how badly I wanted to be white so frick bad. I wanted to be white so bad. And I think every person of color could relate to this at one point because it's like if that's all you see in TV, if that's all you see, you're gonna want to become that. Like that's kind of like that's why representation is so important. And I don't really think a lot of people realize it's so important because it's kind of like when you don't see any representations, you forget that you exist, you know? How many other Blasians am I gonna see in where I live at? I'm not gonna see any in the Bronx. I'm not even gonna see any in the like you know like it's not really something you like see every day. So I think it's like you know I just I got so used to like this I don't know like this persona, and I guess that's why like it made being online so much fun because I could be what I wanted to be if I wasn't what I was. And like the racial aspect really changed a lot because, you know, at that time, the white girls were winning and they had all the confidence. And I wanted some of that too. Like I could not go to a Dunkin' Donuts without getting so hypercritical of the way that people were looking at me because I was like, oh, they probably think I look like an alien because I've never looked like anything they thought about in their life. You know? So honestly, I think that's where these online chat great game sites were like a lot of fun, and like it's just like oh my gosh, I'm exposing myself so much today, but if anybody if you actually know what I'm talking about, then I want you to shoot me a message literally right after this comes up because I can't be the only person that had done this. After I had an iPod Touch, my life changed forever. Okay, going back to when I was 13 now. So pre 13, I had television, movies, Build-a-bearville, Movie Star Planet, maybe Pixie Hollow, Club Penguin if I really hated myself. You know, I had some options, you know, I had some things going for me. Um but post iPod Touch, and then I played outside though, guys. I really did. I played outside, so I wasn't that the total loss, right? I eventually got some friends and played outside, but post iPod Touch, and I was watching YouTube every day. This is when we start to get into the whole hey web like site thing, right? So I got Instagram, and what's great is like I got Instagram. I'm what like I'm sixth grade, seventh grade. I'm not really in the social standing. I don't have a whole bunch of friends I could talk to online. I can't post a bunch of random things. Because I think, honestly, I think that age too, there's a lot of restrictions on like what you could post. If I remember correctly, like in the early days of Instagram, if you were like 13 or if you were like 12, I think like you couldn't post much or you couldn't post at all. So I think what ended up happening is that I actually, oh God, I was obsessed. So as you know, I was obsessed with Frozen. I really liked a lot of Disney movies back then, and so I fell into the role play community. If any of you really know what that is, it's basically online where you can pretend to be a character that you like, and then you talk to others like the character that you are, and then you make a post. So you'll have a post or they'll have a post, whatever. But you'll make a post and it'll be a picture of your character. And it really could be like I don't the community I was in, I was role playing in. They were all basically characters from CGI movies. So think like you could think Frozen, right? Or you think like Tangled or like Brave, right? Those movies. And also like Rise of the Guardians. Like it was multiverse kind of thing. There was a whole lot of I'm sure it's still out there. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure it's still out there now. But basically the community I was in, you would be one of these characters, right? Let's just say you were Merida from Brave. So you would be her, but most of the time you wouldn't be her, right? You would be like they'll recolor her hair and change the color of her eyes and then change the color of her shirt, her dress that she was wearing. So she had like a purple dress and she had like blonde hair and then like blue eyes, green eyes, and then it'd be like my name is Kate Spade. And as Kate Spade, you'll make her personality in the bio though. You'd be like, oh, quirky, goofy, fun, very hot, and then for the post you would make a prompt and be like Kate Spade was walking, she was walking in the woods, and then she turns and she sees you and she throws a bow and arrow, but she starts laughing because she's really goofy, and you come up to her and say you're the gorgeous girl I've ever seen. It's dead like this. And you're gorgeous girl. You're the gorgeous girl, most gorgeous girl. Girl, just you're the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. And then it opens the role play, and in the comments you would role play back and forth. And if there was multiple people commenting, then she can choose to choose one person or reply to all of them, and then one of them dies down. But like this would be, oh my gosh, this was so exciting. This was every fiction writer's dream. Like to role play, oh my gosh, just to use all your four senses to type out a story for you and this other person, and you guys were collaborating on this story, was the best thing ever. And I actually did eventually meet like a friend through doing that, and like I can say her name is Molly. I don't know if she's out there. Ooh, I don't know if she's out there, but she's out there. Cool. Like I hope you're doing great, child, cuz like she was a real one until she wasn't. Me and her used to Skype like all the time. She was like the bestie. Cause in this roleplay communities, there were hella drama, believe it or not. Like there were people that did not like other people, but would still comment on their post and still try to like roleplay with it. And you can date people, obviously, because it's roleplay. So it's like if someone account can have multiple characters, but can be actively cheating on one of their partners and stuff, and it's a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. It's actually a whole thing. I'll get into it some other time because there's that role play. That is a whole can of worms I can't open right now because I'll be exposing so many people's secrets. But that is what I did. I did that consistently, and it was my escape from the drooling life of middle school. Um, Eventually, I think before eighth grade, I think I let it go. But honestly, like that was, yeah. It's like I was, believe it or not, I don't even know I could go there, but I was a character who was very pick me ish. And I think it was reminiscent of that time period because I feel like that era, like very much like pre 2015, like 2008 2015, that kind of gap, I think it was like, it was that time where like girls were kind of competitive with each other. Like, but like, I don't mean that in a way of like every girl was fighting. It's like, no, like, not like it was just like, it was a bit more normal to be a lot like very clicky, very clicky, more than it is now. I think people now are like really obsessed with not seeming judgmental, but like I think then it was so normal to be clicky. So like girls would be really clicky, like insanely clicky. And how that transferred to like these online communities was, yeah, like if you were in the group, you were in the group. It was so obvious if you were and you weren't. Like just very obvious. Like you either were or you wouldn't. So I was not really like assigned to every group. I tried and it just didn't work out for me. And there were just always like, so I was kind of like this floater, but I really wanted to be a part of a group or just to be like a part of something. So I would be always like commenting like, "Hey guys, yeah, haha," like, "Hey, yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, oh my god." Like that was really me. But I was that girl because I was like number one in my department. I won awards. Don't even get me started on this. Like this is a whole can of worms. Like I can really jump into this whole past of mine in another period because oh my god, like that was very much a time. That was very much a time. But I mean, honestly, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I can't hold it back anymore. I was Rapunzel. Oh my god, what? I was Rapunzel. I literally was Rapunzel. I didn't recolor her hair or anything. Like I was just Rapunzel. And honestly, like I was her, but like think of her in like in a much more pick me kind of way. Like that was me. I was so eager, or I was just so like, hey guys, da 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 da. Today I went outside and it was so good. Like I was I was her, but I was the number one Rapunzel in that role play. Like, girl, I was tagged every week in some kind of contest of what the best Rapunzel. People would vote for me, for me, for me. Okay, I was popping, and that filled my ego so much because I was like, "Yo, I'm doing my part." And all the other Rapunzels, bro, they were bad at it. You could tell they were like 8 years old, but me, being the coherent 13, 12-year old I was, I I knew, I understood who it was to be her. That's why I was able to play her so well, you know? Those role plays came in and I was like, I could stay true to her or I can I could, kind of like slide a little bit out, show a little bit of true me, but no, I was consistent. I stayed consistent. Sorry about that. I stayed consistent to her character. I feel like to me that's just like I knew what it took. Yeah, I knew what it took to just be a character, you know? It's not really just putting on a wig and being like, hey, it's like you have to body their essence. And I watched movies so many times to know what that would be like. And so outside of this, there are dramas. I met my friend Molly. She was a little weird. But after I started getting popular, like we slowly not became friends anymore. And she's like had like a multi fandom account where she would have like a whole bunch of other people from different universes. So she would have like three Jack Frosts, two Hiccups, three Rapunzel looking characters, and it was just like a whole thing. And like she got to choose either one, which one I want to do, and then yeah, she was very interesting. But um, yeah, like yeah, it was, yeah, I think it was really I mean, yeah, it was just kind of that. But yeah, I really honestly with all of this, like it kind of makes me like laugh at like how invested I was with like this side of the internet mostly.